Well, hello, and welcome to November 2020. I know there are, let's say, other stories kind of dominating the headlines this week, but this is still Cord Cutting Weekly, and there was still plenty of cord cutting and streaming news to talk about this week. So yes, welcome. If you're new here, my name's Philip Palermo, and this is indeed Cord Cutting Weekly, where we take a look at the past week in streaming news. This week, we've got more third quarter earnings to talk about from Roku and others, more streaming app support for next-gen consoles, T-Mobile's TVision service might be facing some challenges already, and more. But first, if you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and or subscribe buttons down below. That way you'll be notified whenever we release new content to the channel, and that's something we do pretty often. On Wednesdays, we host live Q&A sessions, and we dive into specific topics on Thursdays. And then we wrap up the week with Cord Cutting Weekly here on Fridays. And with that out of the way, let's get on to the news. So yes, it is indeed election season, but it's also third quarter earnings season, and we kick things off with Roku. The company reported that it's added some 2.9 million active accounts for the third quarter, which brings them to 46 million active accounts in total. Now that figure represents a 43% jump year over year, and sales of streaming devices also saw a jump, an increase of 57% year over year. The company added that device sales more than doubled in regions like Canada and the UK. Company execs called the third quarter the strongest quarter in the platform segment's history, and Roku's sales jumps were likely helped by recent hardware releases, including the Roku Stream Bar, which combines a streaming device with a multi-speaker soundbar as well as an updated Roku Ultra. And we recently reviewed the 2020 Roku Ultra and compared it to last year's model. So if you're curious about Roku's newest top-of-the-line streaming device, you'll find a link to that video in the video description down below, as well as up here in the corner. In service provider news, it looks like Charter Spectrum customers might see another price hike soon. We're seeing reports that the internet service provider is looking to increase prices by $5 per month in December, and that move would affect all internet-only customers, including folks signed on to Spectrum's Stream TV plans. Stop the Cap reports that those who have a bundle package that includes internet and cable TV service won't be affected. And that price hike would follow a similar increase this past summer, which raised Spectrum's broadcast TV fees. So if you're currently a Spectrum internet customer, now might be a good time to check out your November bill, as the company is reportedly starting to notify customers about the increase, which is set to kick off December 2nd. And if you're signed up for paperless billing, you can also access your statement online to find the notice there. In Comcast news, the Wall Street Journal reported earlier this week that the company might be in talks with mega retailer Walmart about a plan to develop and market smart TVs using Comcast's in-house software and platform. Now, there aren't too many concrete details available just yet, but it sounds like Comcast would provide the software and platform, a third party perhaps could provide the TV hardware, and then Walmart would take care of selling and promoting the devices in its stores, while also taking a cut of the revenue. Now, if that sounds somewhat familiar, it might be because Walmart already has a similar-ish deal in place with Roku, with a retailer selling Roku-powered smart TVs under the ON brand. For Comcast, the move would mark yet another push into the streaming platform industry, where it looks to compete with the likes of, yes, Roku, but also Amazon, Apple, and others. And on top of that, Comcast could also leverage the smart TV plan to push its new streaming service, Peacock, to more and more users. Again, these are just preliminary reports, and we'll keep you updated as we learn more. But the move does make sense for a company looking to offset dwindling pay TV subscriber numbers. Meanwhile, Sinclair Broadcast Group discussed their third quarter results this week as well and reported an operating loss of around $4.18 billion. Now, some of that loss has been attributed to the pandemic as well as changes in consumer behavior, especially when it comes to live sports. But the company also took a big hit when it failed to reach distribution deals for its stable of regional sports networks, or RSNs. Now, we've reported in recent weeks how both YouTube TV and Hulu have opted to drop Sinclair-owned RSNs, with both services citing an inability to reach a deal with Sinclair to continue carrying the channels. And despite that operating loss, Sinclair also reported that revenue actually rose 37%, and the company says it's optimistic about the future, especially as next-gen TV, or ATSC 3.0, continues to spread and major pro sports like baseball start to return in early 2021. In Discovery news, we might soon see what the company has in mind with its upcoming streaming service. We've been hearing about Discovery's potential streaming service for at least a year now, and CEO David Zaslav says we should get an update on those efforts next month. During a third quarter earnings call, Zaslav said the whole company has been focused on this, so in early December, we'll come out with the whole package. In remarks earlier this year, the executive described Discovery's take on streaming services like a new SUV compared to the sports cars that Netflix and others were offering. And we can likely expect original content and a significant catalog pulled from Discovery's portfolio of brands, including HGTV, Food Network, TLC, Science Channel, and yes, Discovery. No word yet on pricing, platform support, or potential ad-supported tiers, but we'll keep you up to date as the company shares more info in the coming weeks. Stay tuned. Speaking of Discovery, the network raised concerns about T-Mobile's new TVision streaming service. Now, even though the service launched just a few days ago, we're starting to hear grumblings about lineup offerings. In particular, Discovery CEO David Zaslav commented during Discovery's Q3 earnings call saying the company was, quote, very surprised by how T-Mobile chose to bundle its channels. Now, for a quick recap, TVision offers a few different content packages. Some, like TVision Live, focus on live TV and sports, while another option, called the Vibe plan, adds on a cable-like assortment of channels. That Vibe plan currently goes for $10 per month for about 30 or so channels, including some owned by Discovery. And Zaslav's comments indicate the company isn't quite on board with its channels being included in the Vibe package but not the TVision Live plans. He added that Discovery is currently discussing the matter and hopes to resolve the issues soon. Now, exactly what he means by that remains to be seen, but we'll keep you updated as we learn more. However, it turns out Discovery isn't the only one who raised an eyebrow at T-Mobile's channel lineups and packaging. Both NBC and ViacomCBS have also expressed concern this week about how their channels are offered. For ViacomCBS, the concern is that their channels only appear on the Vibe plan but not on TVision Live. Meanwhile, sources at NBC tell us that the agreement between T-Mobile and NBC require that T-Mobile offer NBC and Telemundo channels to all TVision subscribers where those channels are available. And by leaving those channels out of the Vibe plan, T-Mobile might be in breach of that contract. And as with Discovery, it looks like ViacomCBS and NBC are actively exploring their options moving forward, and again, we'll keep you updated as we discover more. And moving on to hardware news, next week is going to be awfully busy with the launch of next-generation consoles from both Microsoft on November 10th and then 2 days later from Sony. And of course, the Xbox Series S and Series X, as well as the PlayStation 5, will all work well as high-powered streaming devices. In fact, last month we detailed some of the streaming services confirmed to be coming to PS5 at launch or shortly afterward. And this week we have more Xbox news to share. So, like the PS5, both next-gen Xbox consoles will get the Apple TV app at launch. And that means Xbox users will have access to Apple TV Plus and other shows and movies. And yes, the new app will also come to the current generation Xbox One line as well. And beyond the Apple TV app, the new Xbox consoles will also launch with support for apps like Netflix, Disney+, HBO Max, and more. In fact, here's a full list of services Microsoft has mentioned so far. And of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on both Microsoft and Sony as they work to add even more streaming options to their new high-powered gaming consoles moving forward. And finally, yes indeed, we have reached the month of November, which means that the big Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales are fast approaching. Of course, this year has presented some unique challenges and concerns, so we're keeping a very close eye on how major retailers are approaching this holiday shopping season. In fact, if you've been visiting our news website lately, cordcuttersnews.com, you might have already seen some pre-Black Friday deals available. And that includes some Alexa-related deals at Amazon as the company celebrates Alexa's birthday this month. Elsewhere, Target and Best Buy are looking to spread deals throughout the month, so you can check out their posts linked down below for some of the latest streaming and cord-cutting deals. And of course, stay tuned throughout November and December as Cord Cutters News brings you all the top deals throughout the holiday season. It should be a busy time indeed. For now, though, that wraps up a rather interesting week here at Cord Cutting Weekly. Next week, of course, we'll see the launches of the new Xboxes and PlayStation consoles, and we're inching ever closer again to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. As for you deal watchers out there, is there anything on the horizon you're hoping to see a solid discount on? Maybe you're looking for a new wireless router or a new streaming device, or maybe even a new TV. If you have an eye on something in particular, feel free to let us know in the comments section down below. And again, if you're new to the channel, please do consider those like and subscribe buttons down below. They really do help us out, and you'd be joining an awesome community and subscribing to a pretty active channel. Like I said earlier, on Wednesdays, our very own Jess hosts a live Q&A session for our viewers and subscribers, and then on Thursdays, we dive deep into a specific topic, including this week's review of Amazon's Fire TV Stick and Fire TV Stick Lite. And don't forget to join us on Fridays, where we wrap up the week in cord cutting and streaming news here on Cord Cutting Weekly. For now, though, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you all have a safe, enjoyable, and hopefully stress-free weekend. Take care.